I lost my glasses.
Oh no, I have my pink ones today.
Your pink ones were supposed to be matchy-matchy. Let me go get them because I will have no clue what's even going. Oh my God, they're so cute.
For Barbie.
I like the tint. Oh yeah. All right, let me go get my glasses. You guys just
women empowerment.
Tune in here. Some balls for the cats to play with too. All right. I brought these with me out on the road. See where we are. We've got, okay, I see. We're good on Facebook. Excellent. So welcome everyone. Hi guys on TikTok. I see that's a little crooked. Sorry about that. I got Instagram straightened out. Looks good there. Welcome everybody. And welcome Facebook. Hi Vanessa. And YouTube. If you guys could let me know that you can hear me and see me all right, that would be helpful before I go ahead and get started. All right. A couple quick announcements while we let everybody tune in. We have coming up the Spiritual Life Coach certification and training here at Roots Revival Interfaith. Thank you, Yolanda. She says she can hear and see me all right. Looks good. Okay. Thanks, everybody. So coming up, we have Spiritual Life Coach certification and training. I'll be teaching that at Roots Revival Interfaith here, and you guys can attend in person, online, or through video download. So basically each week as we finish, if you can't make it to join us, you could just have the video sent directly to you. This certifies you in spiritual life coaching and allows you to work through Roots Revival Interfaith, Ivy League Psychic Academy, Ivy League Psychic Fairs, Ivy's Healing Call Center, lifelong work opportunities, or to take it out onto the road, obviously, and do whatever it is that you feel called to do with it. So this is going to run from March 21st to April 25th. Once a week from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. So you could check out more if you want to learn more. ivyriverapsychicmedium.com/events. It'll take you right to it. Hi, Bethany. Hi, Yolanda. Okay, good. We also have the reverendship training and certification. So if you want to become an ordained minister through Roots Revival Interfaith, we are officially, after 10 long years, a federally recognized religion and church separate from any Christian denomination or the spiritualist religion, which pushes out Christianity. So we don't want to exclude anybody here. So it took a long time, but it's finally in place. So Roots Revival Interfaith is now, because we are federally recognized, we're able to ordain people who want to become ministers through us. So one of the big things we just launched is wedding business. So people will call on our reverends to officiate their wedding, and we're doing wedding experiences, beach, vineyard, haunted, the Victorian, funeral home, all kinds of things. So that's awesome. If you guys want to become a reverend through Roots Revival, you can do the video download. That's what the training is right now. I don't have another date scheduled to do live and in person, but I'll consider it if there's enough interest. As of right now, there's been enough interest in just the videos alone where, I bring you, yes, through the training and ordination, but also how to actually perform ceremonies. So if you're like, okay, I want to become a reverend, but this is a very daunting task. I don't know how to officiate a wedding. I don't know how to run a funeral service. I don't even know how to do a memorial service. I can't do a baptism. Like, what is this? Well, no one teaches you. There are no reverendships that I've seen internationally that teach you how to do it. We do. So, it's a bit of a long video, but you're going to learn how to do each kind of ceremony. All right. That's also up on my website, ivyriverapsychicmedium.com. We have Christina's The Big Three astrology classes, always available up on the website. There goes Jesus. So you need to know your big three, your sun, your moon, your rising, and astrology to be able to get into the basics of your astrological chart, synergy charts, your life contract to understand where you're going. There's just a whole heck of a lot here. So check it out. It's a 3-hour-long course, video download. Christina also teaches the art of tarot. So you can get certified in her tarot course and become a reader through the Ivy League Psychic Academy, again, with all those opportunities we mentioned earlier. So check out the art of tarot. And I am always offering my psychic mediumship course. You can go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com, or you can just go onto the regular website to see more about that. It is evergreen, so you can join anytime. And then you still get to meet up with your fellow students in the chat, the live Q&As, which I run. You are working with assistant teachers all the time. You're reading for the public. So, you'll be around. We'll all be together plenty, but you get to learn at your own pace. There are 2 different tiers to learning with that. So you could do the 10-week downloadable program. Does not get you certified. You don't necessarily learn how to do this professionally, but you get some of the basics in education. Or you do the 28-week tier 2 program where you're getting the certification. You're working with us directly. It really sets you up to be a professional reader. All right. Is there anything I'm forgetting to mention? Probably a bunch of other stuff, but we're going to go ahead and get into today's sermon because it's a long one. All right. So you guys grab your coffee, your wine, your tea, and let's settle in. Welcome, everyone. I'm Pastor Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Airwalk. This is Roots Revival Interfaith, where we believe in the 3 truths in the universe. That's intuitive intelligence, astrological truth, and numerology. I'm here with Reverend Christina Del Rey, our astrologer. How are you, Christina?
Excellent.
Good to have you back. And Jill, our beautiful producer, will be taking your questions and comments. Now, we're an interactive church, so we do try to take all of your questions and comments as they fit in with whatever it is that we're discussing. And if they don't, what we're going to do is just save them till the end. So we will get to everybody. I also want to encourage you to post your prayer and healing requests. Christina and I pray and manifest over those for several weeks. So even if you're watching this through published video afterward, go ahead and post in the comment section. We go back and check. And I do want to encourage everyone else tuning in here from Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, my YouTube page, my 2 Facebook pages. Please pray and manifest over everyone in the comment section. Let's support each other as these posts start coming up. Donations are appreciated. If everyone, please give this video a thumbs up right now. Subscribe if you want to become a member here on YouTube at Ask Ivy. You can hit the join button to see the different membership options. And I do ask that everyone from other platforms switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy. That's where I spend the majority of my time, and that's really where I'm trying to grow the following the most. Any comments help out in the algorithm as well. All right, let's get into it. So this week's sermon is on women's rights, the 4B movement. Who's heard of the 4B movement but isn't exactly sure what it's about? I want to see in the comments where we are with this. It's being talked about more and more, but I don't think it's anywhere near reaching its peak here in America. So what I want to do today is to break down what's happening in the deterioration of women's rights, especially here in America. And I want to talk about bringing the 4B movement to America. The first thing I want to say is that when I post about women's rights, when I post a video about the deterioration in the recent attacks on women's autonomy or the increase in rape or the forced pregnancies or the removal of divorce. Yeah. Did you know you're not allowed to divorce if you're pregnant anymore in quite a handful of states in this country? Right. And during pregnancy is the highest likelihood. That's the peak time for a woman to be severely assaulted by her partner or murdered. So can't get out of marriage anymore. When I post about these things, I just want to address this and get this out of the way. I see a lot of people coming back and saying, "Oh, really? Wow, I don't watch the news. I had no idea." You better have an idea. That is your responsibility to have more than an idea. If you have daughters, if you have sons, if you are a woman, I don't see how it is possible that you are uneducated on this and essentially taking on an attitude of like, well, I don't care, or it's not my problem, or what can be done. I just want to point out that if we don't do it, no one will do it. And when people around the world look at us and they say, what the heck are these women doing that they're allowing this to happen? We're taking a big old nap. Not all of us, but a good percentage of us. We're voting against our own rights. We're voting against our daughters' rights. We're voting, obviously, against all of our own interests, financial and otherwise. And we've decided that we're going to be programmed by the patriarchy to just be passive and docile and assume it's not that big of a deal or that this could never possibly happen. Well, it is. We're set back now 70 years because of the things that have happened in the last few years. Why did that happen? Because a lot of us aren't waking up. And we're still saying things even today like, I had no idea this was even going on. What? That sounds outrageous. It's the Handmaid's Tale, and you're creating it by sleeping through it. All right. So I need everybody to wake up. Here's the other thing. You know, we can't complain if we're not doing anything about it. I think we need to be more careful about what we're entertaining, who we're entertaining. And if we are going to be out there complaining about the loss of our rights, our victimhood status, which is real, and the constant attacks against us, but we're not going to eliminate the activities that feed those problems. Again, voting against our own rights, feeding racism, feeding ignorance about racism, because this is all intersectional. Feeding the patriarchy, being a trad wife. If you want to, try and act as though it isn't a big problem to date men who are voting against your rights. If you're not asking these men that you're dating, sleeping with, how they vote, because they're going to get angry, they're going to get upset. Well, that tells all. That's all you need to do is ask, and they'll run off. Okay. If you're not doing your research in regards to everything and everyone you invest in, including companies that you purchase products from, you're not doing your part. And then you're complaining about the outcome of that. Right. So dig deep. Do the research, get educated on this. It's not just about knowing what's happening in the news. It's knowing about how to prevent these things from becoming news. And right now they are on a roll. Okay. So they're gaining power rapidly. I also want to say, Jill's watching in the comment sections. Should we have any brothers show up here who want to pontificate, challenge any of these ideas, start with women, or, become the shining star tonight, we'll be removing you from the comment section. So don't bother. So let's talk about this, right? What is going on with women's rights in just even the last few weeks? So this is shocking. Now, Missouri already had this in place. A lot of people are hearing about it now. I guess it's just getting more attention now because there are like 4 or 5 other states that are also doing it. But this has been a problem in Missouri. So Missouri made sure that women were not able to divorce if they were pregnant. Again, the most common time for homicide, right? Murder happens to women who are pregnant or the domestic violence rate increases drastically and, just becomes more severe during that time. So it's a death sentence to women who are trying to get out. So now we have Texas in on that, Arizona, Arkansas. Judges cannot legally finalize the divorce of a pregnant woman. Wow. So now Missouri's getting some attention. Okay. But like I said, it's been that way for years. I just want to remind everyone that Roe v. Wade was overturned in June of 2022. So that set us back, 50, 60 years? All right. No more legalized abortion. Birth control. You hearing this? Birth control. Okay. And Planned Parenthood. Okay. Birth control in general, but also Planned Parenthood, which takes care of a lot of women's health issues. These are medical issues. Was banned in Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Texas. So one of the things that we can do, and I've been saying this for years, once Trump was elected, there was no way out of this. I tried to put some rallies together immediately upon the election, but it wasn't really, nothing was going to fix this problem. Once elected, he's elected. That was going to change the Supreme Court. We were all going to lose our rights the day that happened. Now, there is a lot of debate. What's happening with the next election? What's happening with the next election? And they're playing with our rights. Democrats are saying, we'll give you your rights back. Give you your rights back. Just vote for us. I'm not going to get into how you should be voting. I think it's blatantly obvious. Okay. I think we need an alternative, quite frankly. You can do whatever you want. However, this situation was going to happen as soon as he was voted in. He said it was going to happen. Okay. It took a little time, but what I think now the real solution is extreme radical activism and also moving, because let's say the Democrats do step up. Let's say the Democrats do what France just did last week. France was the first country in the world to change the Constitution to make abortion a legal right for all women. They did that because they are horrified by what's happening in the US right now, as is the rest of the world. Okay? Like, there really isn't anywhere in the world that would be acting like America, taking away women's rights, autonomy, everything from birth control to, it's insane. It's medical assault. So everyone's horrified, but France took the right step. When I've been saying the last few years, when people say, what's happening with the government? What do you think will be happening with our rights? What do you think's happening with, the economy, or, our money and inflation and this and that and the other? What have I been saying? Move. I am telling you, move. And I wasn't joking. That may have sounded dramatic 3, 4, 5 years ago. Move. Come up with a game plan to get the heck out of here. We're on Indian burial ground anyways. This was all destined to happen. This is end stage capitalism. It was inevitable. But if you look around and you notice that nothing's being fixed and everything's just deteriorating like a wildfire every day for women especially, that's enough of a warning that this is the end. It is time for you to come up with a plan B, plan C, and get yourself out of here. So look at getting your citizenship elsewhere, but also if you can't go that far, and I know a lot of us can't, okay, for a million reasons. I'm aware of that. You could at least start planning it and looking at the options. There are a lot of YouTubers out there who teach you how to do it. I think that your other option is to move to a safer state if you can't afford that. And I know there's help out there for women who need this. So don't necessarily decide that you can't do it. It's safer in California. It's safer in New York State. Okay, you could do your own research. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this today, but there are better places for you to live if you're living in one of these states: Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, Texas. You got to be kidding me. Get out. Okay. Run and let them burn. Okay. Florida is a cesspool too, especially with LGBTQ rights. So get to somewhere safe. Now, I want to say also I want to say maybe it was 3 weeks ago, Alabama made in vitro uh, illegal. So in vitro is taken off the table in Alabama because someone who was working in the lab dropped a couple embryos on the floor and they were charged with murder. So, Alabama is now saying that an embryo is a full person. So there's a lot of chaos that's going to come from that. Now, men are not being held accountable for what they do with their sperm, but women who were to receive an embryo and then miscarry could be charged with murder. Doctors could be charged with murder. Should anything happen to one of these embryos, there's so no one wants to get involved in it. And we saw, this was not a funny situation. I'm just laughing at this Katie Britt thing. I'll talk to you about that in a minute, but I did a piece a couple weeks ago on a man in Texas, a man in Texas who was feeding his wife these poisons to cause her to have an abortion. It was slowly killing her, which led to her taking samples of the food he was giving her, and he was even doing it in restaurants. And so if he brought her a drink or anything, she'd take a sample of that beverage, and then she had it tested and found out that he had been poisoning her for years. He caused severe brain damage and other disabilities to their other child. She had about a year previous to this making the news. And she lost the pregnancy a few months ago because he had polluted her with this. It was essentially an abortion drug. And he got 180 days in prison for that. 180 days. Do you know what she would have gotten if she had gotten an abortion herself? Right? That could be life in prison. Yeah, that's full-on murder. So they're blatant about this, okay? Men are not being held accountable in any way, shape, or form. And we saw with the Katie Britt, did anyone see this Katie Britt fiasco? The Alabama senator who did the rebuttal to Biden's speech the other night, they set her up, and they set her up in such a perfect representative way where even the Republicans were horrified. It made Saturday Night Live. It's all over TikTok. It's all over the place. This was lunacy. But even the Republicans acting horrified, I thought it was a great representation of who they are and what they're doing. They put the senator in a kitchen with a cross on her neck, and they had her do fundamentalist, what's called sweet speech. It's called keep sweet, which is essentially keep your mouth shut. It's keep quiet and talk sweet. And they told her to act like the mother to the nation. And she spewed out ridiculous nonsense with facts that were from presidencies 4 times back about rape and torturing women. And she tried to blame Biden. And then she was talking about, the family structure being destroyed here in America. And she did it all from this very fundamentalist representation of what the Republican Party wants women to be. It was very accurate. I didn't think it was looking crazy at all. That's what they look like. That's what their agenda is. And one of the things to understand about a few of the other states who are pushing for fundamentalism more and more, Christian nationality, is that they're trying to pass laws to make it easier for girls in the families to be raped through incest. They are calling it family value restoration. And so these girls can be raped. There can be incest in the family without charges, and they are forced to carry these pregnancies to full term. There's no protection for them. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. All right. So it is a real thing. It is a cult, and it is taking over. And if you watch her and you watch even Saturday Night Live, if you can't stomach watching actually her, okay, you'll get a better understanding of what's going on in the government and how quickly this is taking over. Because this has been, a good 40 years in the making. So Katie Britt was outrageous the way they set her up for that. We also see that 65,000 pregnancies from rape that have occurred in states with abortion bans since Roe v. Wade was overturned are going unaddressed. All right. So 65,000 minimum women have been raped and forced to carry to full term in those states in the last couple years. We also see that 1 in 6 women are being raped. That's climbing. 1 in 9 girls are being raped. That's also climbing. So family value restoration, fundamentalists, Christian nationalists getting their hands on the laws for all of us. Let me know if you want to hear more on that. Okay, at another time. So, aside from all of this, women have 4 times the suicide rate of men. Women who decide to cohabitate, get in long-term committed relationships, or marry die much earlier than women who remain single. They're dying from inflammatory diseases, cancer, other stress-related diseases, and men are 6 times more likely to abandon them as soon as they're diagnosed. So don't think, your husband's sticking around. We have inequality in a million different ways in this country. I don't have time to get into it all today. You know the drill. And these are just circumstances that are going to continuously get worse as they get more of a foothold on taking our other rights away. Why wouldn't it get worse? I want to talk about the 4B movement. This is what I believe the solution is. Now, the 4B movement, okay, a little back education. I'm going to go through this quickly. 4B movement started in 2019 in South Korea. The 4 B's stand for no, okay? B is, it just means no. And it's no hetero marriage. So women stopped dating men. They stopped having sex with men. They stopped marrying men. And they stopped childbirth. So it breaks down to Bihan, Bicholsen, Biane, and BCQ, something like that. Okay, the 4 B's. And it's about 10 to 20% of the population you have to have on board collectively in order for this to have an impact. And they exceeded that. So what ended up happening was that men deteriorated. And in the first couple years, they decided to run back typically to their mothers. So statistics and research show this is how it played out since 2019. They ran back to their moms. A lot of them moved back in with their moms. A lot of them are sort of like living in mom's basement. And within about 1.5 to 2 years of that happening, the sisters, the aunties, the cousins, and the moms kicked them out. And they said, we don't want to have anything to do with you either. They're sick and tired of their toxicity. They don't want it anywhere near them. So some of these men, I don't know what happened to them. Okay. I don't really care. Whatever. I guess some of them have gone to therapy and they're doing better. Or there's some turnaround. Okay, fine. Whatever. We're beyond caring about that. Okay. We just have to take care of ourselves. So what happened is that because in Korea, they have the worst rates in the entire world of domestic abuse and violence and murder on women who are pregnant. They have some of the worst rates for maternity leave, unequal pay, just general rights. Okay. Massive inequality compared to even the rest of the world. So it was really these things that they wanted to see changed, and they knew it would take something radical. So they created this movement, and it's working. Okay, now we're starting to see that these new laws and policies are now on the table. Okay, the government is um, expected to give them greater protection laws, tax benefits, housing, equal pay, parental leave, on and on and on. And one of the effects that this had on the population was that there's no one to take care of the elderly. So, it's an all-time low birth rate, and there will be no transfer of hands to care for. I think it's by like 2060, it's gonna be a full-blown, crisis there. So no one to take care of the elderly, no more children being born. They have to make change. They have no choice. Now, American women started doing this, self-included, in the last few years once Roe v. Wade was overturned, but we didn't even know we were doing it. How many of you are not even aware that this is what you're doing by cutting off men? Okay, if you stopped dating, if you become celibate, if you have decided, I will never marry, that's it, 100%, I will never let a man live with me, I will never marry, whatever it is, okay? You're part of the movement and you didn't even know. So I think it's really interesting that this is happening more and more internationally, and we didn't even know that it was a thing. This is a collective revolution, and these things catch on like fire, whether it has a definition or not. This is proof. So what we started doing here in America is cutting off men, entertaining men who aren't, and we've been saying things like they're not bringing anything to the table, right? They never protect us. Only other women protect us. They claim that there are protectors, but they're the ones who are actually creating the abuse, from the legal systems to the government and the laws to on the streets to domestic abuse. They're the cause of all of our problems. Therefore, they cannot be the savior from our problems, nor are they trying. Women have realized that after getting our own bank accounts in the late 70s, we need to really honor what our our past generations of powerful women have done to get us these rights, and we need to preserve them and push our agenda forward. So we now have women are the leaders in the housing market. We've taken up 20% of the housing market. Independent buyers, it's more than half of us, are independent purchasers. No males on the deed whatsoever. No males even cohabitating in those properties. They are cohabitating with other women, obviously their kids, maybe family, but no men. So we've done a pretty darn good job. And I would say that we exceeded 20% of the population probably about 2 years ago. I don't know where exactly we stand on this. A lot of people don't even know what the 4B movement is. But I think very quickly, thanks to things like TikTok, I think very quickly women picked up on what the universe was laying down and decided to eliminate men from their lives in order to increase their prosperity and peace and health and sanity. And it spread. So, we are, I think, now able to put a name, a label with it, and get the education out there and really raise our numbers very quickly if we do this. So this is my suggestion to creating change. It's working in South Korea, to creating change in the government. That doesn't mean, I don't think everyone should also move and have a second, citizenship somewhere else. I think you should. But that's, beyond the point. What we see here, also, I just want to say is a lot of men coming out and speaking on this like they're some kind of heroes. And I just want to warn everyone that if you are following a bunch of men on social media who speak out on women's rights and, they claim to be leftists and this and that, I would pull back from that as well. Not just the 4Bs. Okay. And I know that may sound crazy. Like, what? I'm not going to have sex. We'll get to that. But I think that, follow, there are a couple really amazing women that I follow Melanie Hamlet is an international journalist. She's a comedian. She's hilarious. She is a true feminist and she understands intersectionality. And we also have Sprinkle Lady. Trying to think of what her first name is. You guys, please put her name in the comments. If you could just go on to TikTok or anywhere, really, you'll see her, come up. She really breaks down. Now, granted, she's talking about how to date men. And, I think we need to cut them off entirely. But what I'm saying with her is that she is breaking down the concepts behind feminism and how we have been mistreated. And she helps you understand the programming and psychological damage that's been done to you, okay, during this time. So she's really great for that. Follow women. Don't follow men who are pontificating and stealing, our hard work and efforts and regurgitating it out to look like they're heroes. Okay. That's just feeding the problem. They get paid a lot of money on those channels. I took on the 4B movement myself after Roe v. Wade was overturned. I didn't know that's what it was called. I had no idea where this overwhelming feeling was coming from, but I knew it had to be done. I suspected that when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I was going to see nothing happen with men. I suspected that they were going to, in fact, get worse and see it as a big opportunity to just grind us into the dirt. And that is exactly what they have done. They are either totally silent and sitting on the sidelines enjoying the show, or they're acting like the nice guy. I'm Switzerland. I'm middle ground. I don't believe in politics. Let's not talk about it. Just feeding your abuse directly. Or, they're blatant about it. They're like, get him. And every incel and podcast and toxic red pill nonsense has spread like wildfire. So we see exactly what I assumed we would see based on what was being hidden behind the scenes that I always knew was there. And that was the end for me. I noticed something very quickly after Roe v. Wade was overturned. I noticed that if I was on a dating site, for example, I would be able to smell from the photograph of this man, even if he was really good looking. Some of them are. A lot of them are fake. So yeah, they put models on there and different heads on different bodies and everything. I started to notice that there was a stench coming off the photographs. Now, as an intuitive, this is not uncommon for me. The same way dolphins smell cancer and disease, and other animals and dogs will go sit on you if you're sick. And, it's not uncommon for intuitives, medical intuitives especially, to be able to smell disease or a certain stench that comes from paranormal evil energy, low-level energy. These low vibrations or toxicity, disease, has a smell. It has an odor. It has a scent. I noticed that I had become so in tuned to men's toxicity and desire to destroy women that I could smell it even on the dating sites through photographs when I was not trying to. I did not want to. It made it very easy for me. Because I would also smell like guys who have poor hygiene or will have poor hygiene or aren't, you know what I mean? And I always kind of had that, but it's hard enough to date sometimes. Their hygiene is not great. I'm very, very picky. Anyways, it just became so overwhelming for me. It was easy for me to enter into the 4B movement. I was like, I have literally no reason to invite any of these men into my mind, into my heart, into my energy field, into my bed, certainly never into my home. I see no future here. So I went ahead and I did that. And I'd been dating since I was 9 years old. So I had never, ever in my life completely eliminated. Well, I never centered men. I come from 3 generations of very strong, independent, single women. I had never thought about marriage or centered a man, but I had also never eliminated the idea of maybe dating or going out and attracting someone, or I don't know, having a fling. I had never eliminated that and said, no, this will not happen. Absolutely not. Since I was 9 years old. Now, what happened overnight after joining the 4B movement was this. My prosperity skyrocketed. I had people calling me from TV stations and international hit shows. I had people calling me for interviews. I had loans being offered to me where I had normally, as a Hispanic woman, I'm always fighting for every little penny. You can't get banks and institutions to help you out. You're redlined. I had them throwing money at me. I had creative insights about how to grow the church, about how to grow my reading business. I had breakthroughs that I had been wondering about for over a decade at least. Why are these blocks and obstacles here? What more can I do? Here's the bottom line. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to hold ourselves responsible. And when you entertain negative, low-level energy in any way, shape, or form that steals from your productivity, that steals from your health, from your wealth, you automatically take yourself from being up here and you lower yourself to that level. And you can't access wealth, abundance, true health, breakthroughs. You can't have it. And I'm like, how did this never occur to me before now? How did I know to eliminate everything in my life, from smoking to drinking to hanging out with toxic people with small minds to, I mean, you name it. I've eliminated everything. I did not eliminate men. I did not. Even though I wasn't always with a man, there was always the possibility of maybe. Not anymore, there isn't. And I will never, I cannot imagine a situation where I will go back. Never say never. I guess things could improve. Certainly not anytime in the near future. Zero desire. The prosperity, the peace, the wealth that I've come into is absolutely phenomenal. Christina, I'm going to switch this over to you. I do want to encourage you guys right now, post your questions, your comments, your prayer and healing requests. We are an interactive church, so we'll be taking your questions and comments and popping them up on the screen. Donations are appreciated. Please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're here on YouTube. You can hit the join button if you want to see the different, tiers for membership. And all comments help out in the algorithm. I just have one more thing to say before I switch this over to you, Christina. So I'm going to have you put yourself on mute again real quick. I just want to say that there are some things that you guys can do in addition to the things that I talked about, okay? Real quick, be mindful of red flags. I know a lot of you are probably like, what? I can't not have sex. You can have sex with a battery-operated device. You could have sex with a male friend if he's good at, you could have sex with other girls. I mean, you could just come on. This isn't about not having an orgasm. There are a million ways to have an orgasm. There are a million ways to have connection and intimacy. There are a million ways to do this. It's not what you think, okay? It's just not feeding the problem. You have other sources that you can use, okay, to get that, I don't know, comfort or to get off on or whatever. Okay, this is not hard. So spot these red flags. If you are dating, you're starting to debate on dating someone, you want to make him talk. Men will run their mouths. Men always claim women talk too much. Research shows men interrupt 13 times more per hour. And they will talk endlessly. Now, if they don't, they're also hiding something most likely, but they will talk endlessly. Good luck getting a word in edgewise with a man. So just let him talk. Lead into these topics and see where he goes. If he's using words like females, men are victims, if he's complaining about the men's loneliness epidemic that they caused, if he refers to women as being modern, if he complains that the women today just aren't like his grandmama, where did all the good women go? If he's complaining that women won't let him be himself, or if he's saying thank you to you for letting him be himself, That means don't speak up against anything I do. If he's a red pill guy, incel guy, right? Podcast guy, if he uses words like beta or alpha, or he wants to pretend he's an alpha, okay, which is code word for failure in every other, definition of the word. If he is also offended, make sure that you ask his political lean. And if and I would do this, I don't know, maybe the first, second conversation, because often they'll say, well, why can't we still be friends? Because I don't have friendships with people who are trying to steal my rights and hate my guts, because those aren't friends, brother. Okay. That's ludicrous. And they have no problem asking for that. They have no problem thinking they deserve that and they've earned that. They're entitled to that from you. So ask what their political lean is. Ask how they've been voting. Ask even more specifically what they think about things like Roe v. Wade. Embryos, the ability for women to access things like Planned Parenthood. Ask how they vote on those things. LGBTQ rights, trans rights. It's all interconnected. If they show any sign of being offended, there's your answer. Okay. But a lot of them will try to be like, why are you bringing up politics? Why can't we just get along? I even had one guy say to me, you know what? Here's what it is. I believe in protecting women as long as women aren't hurting anyone. Oh, like an embryo, like your sperm. Interesting. So they've learned to, they still want to get laid. So they're trying to find ways to coerce, okay, and act like they're the good guy. Don't trust men who say they vote left. Dig deeper. And I would say also watch out for your intuition. For me, it was the stench coming off of their photographs. It was the smell of paranormal, evil, low-level energy. It was the smell of their like impending disease that comes from that evil intention that may not be here yet, but it will be. It was the stench of like poor hygiene that I was now getting through their photographs, right? Now I have it when I'm out on the streets with them. Like, that's what it was for me. But for you, it could be a lot of other things. It could be burning at the back of your neck, stabbing pain in your temples, stabbing pain in your stomach, shaking, drop in body temperature. Watch my videos and classes on how to know when someone is potentially attacking you or you're around someone who's toxic, all of these things. You have your own intuitive reactions to different people and situations that are going to be terrible for you. And you just need to get in touch with what they are and pay more attention. All right. Shira, that's her name. Shira, sprinkle lady, Shira. And then Melanie Hamlet. Follow them. Get rid of all the other dudes. All right. Christina, I want to open this up to you.
Yes, it's very horrifying.
It is. It's scary where we are.
It is. And I really think that, well, I don't know if the viewers know this, but I lived in the South for a while. And so I was actually, I was in churches and down there and stuff like that. And it's pretty radical. It's pretty radical patriarchy. And the women are definitely brainwashed by this. And, we even see this here. Like, I even see it in my own family, because for so long we relied on the patriarchy to feel safe. And, at least that's what we thought, everything was hidden, like all the abuse and everything, like, things were not out in the open like they are. And I still see women get very nervous at the idea of this structure being demolished. And it's scary, because I think that we have really associated men with strength, and that's just not the case anymore, at least not the strength that we need them to be. We were in the South, there was a lot of gay bashing, and it's only, and that was in church, and it's only it's only just a little move to bash women. You know what I mean? Like if you're not going to give gay people their rights, then you know what I mean? Like you're not going to give women them either. I do believe that this, you know, astrologically, I believe that this fits in with the revolution with Pluto and Aquarius. My prediction, September is going to be when this gets crazy, when people are rallying, and because Pluto has to go back into Capricorn, it's going to be at the 29th degree, and it's going to, you know, this is when the protests will come up. It's going to get very, very heated. And, you know, as bad as we have it for women, just think about our daughters. The daughters that we're raising, we have to raise them empowered and not to depend on men. And because we are in such a transition as a society, and I work in high school, so I see, you know, and I see the challenges, and women are up against things that they've never had to be up against, social media, things like that. And it's rampant. And I'm starting to notice that girls are just mirroring what guys are putting out. And we have to raise the vibration. We can't match them. We just have to go above them. And, you know, the 4B movement is, you know, a great start to that. And I know I listened to the 4B movement, this girl on YouTube, and she was talking about how, you know, the men cheat. The men would get married. They would get married. And then, you know, it seemed nice. And then all of a sudden they were staying late at work, but they weren't really staying late at work. They were cheating. They were doing whatever they wanted, where the woman had to work. She had to take care of the kids. She had to cook, clean, do everything. And the man was just out doing whatever he wanted. And that's really where we're headed again. Like, you know, like this is not 1950. We really need to band together, and we need to really push independence, women's rights, and push our daughters forward. Saturn and Pisces right now, we still have about a year left of Saturn and Pisces. This is a great time to put boundaries on sex. The Pisces, very sexual sign. Saturn, boundaries. So this is like this is the perfect timing. We put Pluto back into Aquarius, or we put Pluto back into Capricorn at 29 degrees in September. I think we're gonna have an uproar about this. But we have to make it known. People have to be aware. I think that the United States too just had their Pluto return about 2 years ago. And now we're looking at this. We're looking at the darkness of our values. That has to go with the patriarchy. The way that we make money is changing. More women are going to be able to earn paychecks. Now you're going to tell her she can't get a divorce during pregnancy. I can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine not being able to get out of something like that. It's terrible. We're looking at the ugly masculinity, how toxic it is. And if they don't vibrate higher, they're going to evolve out. It's like natural selection. So it's like evolve or die. And that is how it is. And women are rising and men are not supporting. And I think, yeah, I can't imagine that. But the brainwashing of the women in these states, it's huge. It's ancestral, really, because they're brought up like that. Do you have any experience in any of these states or in the South or anywhere?
Well, like I was just going to say, I didn't know if you were finished or not, but yeah, like in the South, for example, and I'm from the South originally. So like I've been back and forth there, you know, Savannah, Georgia, I mean, deep, right? And like, it's nuts. I mean, it's like another universe. It is like, universe. I mean, America's like that anyways. You know, for those of you that tune in from overseas, I mean, you probably heard that America is like every state is like another country, different set of laws, different government, different this, different lay of the land, different weather, different dialects, different everything. Okay. But like when you go from something like East Coast, New York State, like super liberal, right? Educated to the South.
Yeah. That like the deep South.
Deep South.
Yes, that's where I was.
Realize how dangerous
how backward
this level of ignorance is.
Scary.
Because they live in a bubble,
right?
They don't know anything from outside. All the news, all the media, all the radio. You go to the gas station to pump gas, they're shouting Jesus at you. Don't burn in hell. Don't go at the gas station. We're talking public places. Okay. The billboards are all about Christ hanging on the cross for your sins and you're a sinner. And, you know,
fear mongering.
Oh, well, it's a cult. I mean, every cult is based on fear mongering, right? But it's everywhere. So they don't think to look outside of that. Anything from outside of that, like you said, Christina, creates fear. They're afraid to look outside of that. So women are the foot soldiers for the patriarchy. And there is no greater place in this country for that to happen than in the South. And they just don't seem to be waking up. They just don't hear the train coming right on down the track. So they're happy to die for it. And that's what happens in a cult is you're happy to die and surrender yourself and your daughters and even your sons in this case, because men have no future with this happening. Again, like you said, they either get on board or they fall off entirely.
Yeah, it's evolve or die. It really is.
It's already happening. That's why the men's loneliness epidemic. That's why
100%. It's like they're not going to have full lives because of this.
Right. So women are moving on up. This is it. And if that requires us to all relocate to France and live in communes with each other, I think we're more than happy.
I am all for it. I would like to go somewhere. I would like to go to Switzerland or something.
Well, and here's one of the things too. Even if we get our government back on track, I feel that this has left such a bad taste in so many women's mouths that they have lost a sense of home here, a sense of ambition to help create in this country.
Well, this country already isn't. Yeah, it already isn't for Black and brown. You know what I mean? Like it's already not for them. Like, you know, it's like they have not set up this country for Black and brown. It's for white. And we're getting into now more acceptance, fighting it, but a little bit more anyway. And now you know what I mean? Like it's all happening at one time for a reason. But no.
This country was designed, will seemingly always be for white Christian males. And if you don't fit into that category, whether you realize you don't or not, you don't. And it's time to pull all resources away from them. It's like taking the bottle away from the baby in the crib, taking candy away from a kid. That's it. And you're done.
If you don't want to take orders from men, you need to get on board with that.
It's time to get on board, and it's time to get out as well. So 4B movement is the solution. It is happening again intuitively. Like I said, with my own experience, I didn't even know there was a name for it, but it happened almost like overnight and intuitively. It had been happening by the time it happened to me. And I feel like it called me to it. You know, the movement was already happening for several years, 2-3 years in South Korea. It had spread to other parts of the world. So we all know what to do. We all know what creates change, and it is working. So it's not like we're going into this blind, or there's like, well, what's the point? Well, the point is to create change and enforce it. You know, because on another note, why should you be pushed out of your home? Why should you be, fight for your rights? I think we all need to do it regardless of whether or not we get a second citizenship somewhere else or you move to a better state, but it's happening and it's only going to increase, and it only takes, well, a lot of women will say, well, that'll take 80 to 90% of us. No, it doesn't. 10 to 20%. And we've already exceeded it. I'm positive in this country. We exceeded it probably about a year and a half ago.
And I also think, like men will say things and they don't check their speech. And now I find it that I have to point it out to my daughters when I see it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's white privilege right there, or that's, that's degrading women. I have to point it out because if you think about it, when you're young, you just, you kind of take what people say as truth. You don't necessarily inspect it and dissect it so much. And my daughters are good girls and they don't want to get in trouble and things like that. So, they just kind of do what they're told. And, I find that I have to be like, no, that's not okay. And I have to show them that. And so many parents or, teachers, whoever, have to start doing that. They have to start saying, this.
Well, they haven't even deconstructed themselves.
Right.
It starts with the individual. They're not even paying attention. They wouldn't even notice it if someone came up and said it to them, like a compliment. A lot of things we think are compliments, right? If a man says to you, you're different than other girls, right? A boy comes up to one of your daughters like, you're different than other girls. What does that mean? Well, other women are garbage and you are more like a man, or you're more like me, or something. You know what I mean? Like the insults are everywhere, and we just don't even just right over the head because we've been so programmed to believe that any attention from a man is good attention. And that's how the patriarchy and capitalism has set it up, so that we're ready to grab and scramble at any crumb that falls on the floor just to survive. That's the cult. That's the training. And until people start deprogramming, deconstructing, and going deep, they're never going to be able to spot it for anyone else.
I think it's funny because, a lot of times by the time you get to this age in your 40s, 50s, you've kind of had enough of crap from men. But I think it's funny that the younger women are having this revelation so early in their 20s and their teens, that it's an epidemic now.
Well, the Gen Z has the most right-leaning and extreme group of males that we've had since World War II. So that's why the younger girls are being so left and liberal, because the boys are blatant and in their face with the toxicity every day, which is crazy because you would think there would be evolution. But again, we just set ourselves back about 50, 60 years, a couple years ago. So what do we expect? So it's that generation is split. So all those girls are on board. I absolutely love it. I think it had to happen. I'm not shocked. And I think that we're ready for this next step. I think we need to talk about it more. I think we need to put a label with it more. And I think instead of people being like, oh, the 4B movement, what is that? Or yeah, I'm done dating. I finally have, peace, or I got so-and-so, I got this guy out of my house, or I divorced. I'm finally happy, and this and that. And we realize all our grandmothers were slaves, to a system. They were trapped. They were being raped. They were being forced to have children. They had no bank accounts. They had no way out. Both of my grandmothers were 15 and forced to marry 30 or 35-year-old men. My other grandmother was a slave. You tell me how this is not, the grandmamas they want, that men today want. What happened to these women who appreciated marriage and respected a man? Gone, dead, done, over with. Because in the last time we had Pluto in Aquarius too, right? January 20th. Last time we had Pluto in Aquarius, we had the French Revolution, which is interesting because France just made the first country in the world to make abortion part of the Constitution. But we also had the Civil War. What did the Civil War do? Right? It ended slavery, so to speak. And that's where women are right now. We are the slaves of the country. So, it's time for the next level.
Yeah. And the Declaration of Independence, all that was Pluto and Aquarius. So that Pluto and Aquarius is a revolution. It is. Yeah. But everybody's got to get on board to make it happen. And we're just at the very beginnings. In election time is going to be insane.
Yeah. And I also think it doesn't matter anymore. It's too late. Damage is done. Doesn't matter. This country's going down in flames. I don't even care about the election. It doesn't matter. It's like really, I think we should be careful to steer things in a third party option, like do that. But other than that, I wouldn't, I don't think anyone should really stress over it because it's already, the damage was done. It was clear when it hit years ago. that it was over with. I immediately started packing my bags and looking at second citizenship elsewhere. Okay, so let's take questions or comments coming in here. What do we have? Jill, do you want to pop something up? For those of you, I see TikTok banned me. I'm surprised it lasted that long. So I'm probably like, I don't know how my account's going to look on TikTok. They don't let me talk about anything. They don't let me talk about anything anyways. So hopefully everyone on TikTok switched over here to YouTube. It asked Ivy, I warned you in the beginning. All right. That's the best place, safest place for you to be. But hopefully, Jill, you got any comments that you could off of TikTok before they shut me down. All right. So Jill Marie says, I had a man recently tell me that my problem is that I set the bar too high and no one could keep up. So I should lower my standards. No thanks. See ya. Yeah, that's a typical, they want to be able to do nothing. So, we see that the reason the happiest women in the world are unmarried single women, and the unhealthiest, unhappiest, dying even from disease women are those that are married or in long-term committed relationships. It's because these women do all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the child rearing. The man is nothing more but an additional child or an additional task to care for. Nothing has changed in that area. And they're essentially being neglected and abused. And so, they have high rates of disease and all of these things. And that's what they want. They want to keep it that way so that they're being catered to, and they could essentially be another child who gets to present himself to the world as being a real man. Look at my wife, look at my kids, look at my house. Okay. When she actually probably earns more than him, has a higher degree level than him, does literally everything. And so when you ask for anything, Jill, anything, they're like, no. Because if I give her one thing, she will realize she can have more and more and more and more on her own, right? So it's a major threat because you'll get independent to their codependency. Hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out that, like our grandmas and stuff who were in abusive relationships, like my one grandma was in a good relationship, but my other one, not so much. And they stayed because of money. They stayed because of their situation. They didn't stay because they were happy. They weren't happy being slaves to their, you know what I mean? Like she wasn't happy. She had to stay. She had to deal with it. But I think it's important to point out when we take a stand and when we fight for the rights and we become independent and we do all these things that our grandparents couldn't do, that people couldn't do before, we're healing the ancestors as well.
Right.
We are like, me raising my daughters to be independent women, to accomplish goals, to go to their highest vibration. I'm healing ancestry in my family. So I think it's important that we not just look at this as like, well, for our future, but we really have to correct this. Like, spiritually, we have to correct this on the earth plane. The vibration has to raise or we won't make it.
That's right. And they're helping you out.
Mm-hmm.
Your ancestors are coming through constantly, giving you a heads up.
Yeah,
what is unsafe and what you should be paying attention. Always, because the karma continues. Even though they have passed, they've crossed over. You're still working with them. There's karmic debt there. There's a job to be done. You are working with a team.
Everything evolves.
Yeah.
So women are evolving, but are men?
No, and I don't think they will. I mean,
right.
I think there's so much unpacking of the patriarchy. Just even talking to one who's evolved is kind of like, you're constantly having to keep it in check. And then I think we're constantly triggered, the damage the patriarchy has done to me. It's like, it's like being with a man is like just constantly having to work on it. I'm having to deprogram. He's having to deprogram. I'm like, oh, just, you're cute. You're hot. That's awesome. I'm over it. It's just like, life's short, man. I mean, really, and where are you going to find one who is programmed by the patriarchy? I don't know. I mean, you could say, okay, well, I'm not going to date Americans. I did that years ago. Said no more American men. That's been okay, but they have a different set of problems depending on where they come from. And you just have to relearn it. It's like, I don't find it worth it. Okay. And not for the benefits I gain. I have my own money. I have my own home. You know what I mean? I just, what am I, I have friends.
Mm-hmm.
I have good friends, I'm satisfied. My life is fulfilled. I don't need that. And again, a lot of people will say, yeah, but you can't give up sex. There are a million ways to get sex. Okay. Just a million ways. So I wouldn't worry about that aspect.
And there are very few woke men that I know that don't have a lot of toxicity, but I do know one or two.
Yeah. Let's move on to another question or comment. Jill, do we have anything else coming in? Yes, I see some of you in the comment section. You switched over to YouTube because you were bumped off of TikTok. Yep, TikTok banned me. God knows if I even have a channel left. But whatever, they do that stuff to me all the time. So this is why I warn you guys on TikTok. I say get over to my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy. Glad you switched over. Do we have any other questions or comments? Or are we at time? All right, beautiful. So we are going to wrap it up. Today was a little bit of a longer sermon than normal, but I think it was important to bring in the statistics, the actual research, the facts. I wanted to make sure I got to everything, not only from South Korea, because we want to really honor and give credit to where this movement began, and then also to the things that are going on here in the States, because quite frankly, and I want to slap you guys on the hand one last time before I go, too many of you sisters are stepping up and saying, I didn't even know. You better start knowing. You better start watching the news or paying attention. Do your research, however you feel comfortable doing your research, but get it done and join in on the fight. You got to wake up. It's now or never. Okay, get on board. So I wanted to make sure I reviewed everything because, again, most people had no clue it was even going on. All right, so I think we lost Christina. But Jill, thank you so much for producing. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And Christina, even though we just lost her, thank you, Christina Del Rey. If you want to book an astrology chart with her, you can see her information right up here on the YouTube screen. This video will get published in about 24 hours. So you can go back onto YouTube at Ask Ivy. If you want to get that information, you can book with me anytime. Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Thanks.